Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, doesn't always come naturally to us. Evolution has inclined us to identify the groups to which we belong and to empathize much more strongly with members of our own group than with those outside it. This tendency, left unexamined, results in discriminatory thought patterns like racism, misogyny, and xenophobia. To prevent such hazards, we remind ourselves that we are all equal members of a larger group called humans. This, in turn, can mean bad news for non-human animals. Veganism is an attempt to enlarge our circle of empathy to include other earthlings. Not to imply equality within this group, but merely to acknowledge a trait we seem to share, the capacity to suffer. A further extension of our empathy may become relevant in two future scenarios. One, if sentient life is discovered on another planet, and two, if artificial intelligence acquires consciousness. But even now, there's another way we can choose to extend our empathy to sentient beings, and that is by taking into account the potential person. A potential person is someone not yet brought into existence. Of course, creating someone usually makes us their parent, at which point the adorable gene perpetuator is propelled into our closest circle of empathy. But to empathize with a potential person is to foresee all the potential moments of suffering in a life not yet created. The only way to prevent this potential suffering from becoming actual suffering is to avoid creating people altogether, a position known as antinatalism. A helpful distinction in this context is that between the experiencing self and the remembering self. In relation to any point in a person's life, it is the experiencing self who lives through it, whereas the remembering self only sees it in retrospect, lumped together with other points in time, refined and reshaped into a memory. Even painful experiences are often justified by the remembering self as they get neatly integrated into a narrative. But when in the midst of experiencing a broken heart or leg, is our pain expunged by the knowledge that later all this will be part of some bigger story? Or are we consumed by the painful present? Antinatalists tend to acknowledge the pain experienced within life's moments, because present-time suffering is generally more real than future stories we may tell ourselves. Admittedly, the antinatalist solution eliminates both the pain and the pleasure a person would have experienced. But do these two carry equal weight? To find out, we could compare their presence in an existing life with their absence if that life is non-existent. The presence of pain being unpleasant or bad surely makes its absence a good thing. But what about the presence of pleasure being good? Does that mean the absence of pleasure is bad? If your answer is no, it's not bad because there's no person being deprived of all the pleasure, you may concur with antinatalist philosopher David Benatar, who presents this asymmetry argument. If, on the other hand, you find this argument hard to accept, this is understandable. A trait that causes people to avoid procreation is hardly a successful one in evolutionary terms. Rather, we'd expect to see high motivation to procreate and the ability to silence any thoughts of wrongdoing, leaving us with a more positive image of procreation as a virtuous act of generosity and altruism.